Hey, everyone, and welcome back to my show, My So-Called Fabulous with Tiffany C. Blackman. And welcome. It's good to see, I'm not seeing you. You're hearing me. Absolutely. Welcome to my show, and I am everything fabulous and not so fabulous all the time. So bear with me when you're listening to me. So I am a mom, a wife, a chef, and a cookbook author. I love everything fitness and beauty, and we are here because I am a very solid friend. And I want you to meet my friend, Lilly Wilson. Welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So Lilly, oh my goodness. So I want to tell you I'm going to go from this point. And law school, Lil, she just graduated from law school in San Antonio.
Yes.
Yeah, just finished, and she's taking the bar in February. So we are so excited for her, and we're so proud of her because she graduated TCU, and we watched her go through this entire process, and it's not been easy.
It has not.
Not been easy at all. I mean, but you did it in 3 years, correct?
Yes, I did. Well, I took one extra semester.
Yeah.
We can get to that. But
we'll get to that. But yeah, but you were working too, right?
Yes, I was the entire time.
You came in as a part-time student? Remind me of this.
Yes, I started as a part-time student, and there was, it just was not quite the pace that I needed. I needed a little bit more of a demanding daytime schedule. So I made the transition to full-time as soon as I could.
Okay. Well, that's great.
Yes.
So, and she's done, and I can't even tell you.
Thank you.
Greg and I and Kennedy are so very, very proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Oh my goodness. You should be so proud. So how did we meet? Okay. So let's back it up just a little bit. Just a little bit. So Lilly was dating and engaged to someone very near to my heart and a family member. And so she was engaged to our family member. I'm going to say that one more time. And how we met. So I'm not sure. I think everybody, I think like I'm a kind of cool and approachable kind of gal, I think. Some people tell me not so much. I don't understand when people say, oh my gosh, you're so intimidating. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's Tiffy, all right? So when we met at a restaurant here in Fort Worth, and I remember Kennedy and I. Now this was probably 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, and we walked in, and she's so cute. Greg was just like, she is adorable. She's got this fiery red hair, and she's a firecracker, and you're just gonna love her. I think you're gonna love her, Tiffy. I'm like, oh, I'm sure I will. So, but I'm always like, kind of got that one eye. Maybe that's my problem. I have that one eye raised.
There was no one eye that night.
There's no one eye that night. So we race in, we see her, and Kennedy, and we went, oh my gosh, look at her shoes. Oh my goodness, her shoes. Because everyone knows I kind of like shoes, just a little bit.
Those
the pink.
Bright pink sandals.
That's right. And we were just saying, oh my gosh, look at these shoes. Oh my gosh.
And we love your hair, and we love your dress. And I was just like, okay, hi, I'm Lilly.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was intimidated at that point. It just kind of all melted away. And it was like over. Yeah. Just done.
Yeah. You were in. You were just fabulous. And you still are fabulous. But,
well, thank you.
But so we talked that evening and very quickly became friends. And
it was fun because I was meeting you guys for the first time, and then all my scholarship letters had been rolling in, and so it was just a really fun time in life in general. So you guys did a great job of helping celebrate my accomplishments that night, and I always thought that was really cool since we didn't
know you.
We didn't really know each other, but it was just like an immediate celebration. And the next weekend we were going to be in Austin and San Antonio looking at law schools as I tried to make the decision, and you just said, well, why don't you stay with us?
Absolutely stay with us.
Because we kind of had plans, but
okay.
But then we stayed with you guys, and I think we were in Austin every other weekend after that until time to go to San Antonio at the end of July.
Yeah, and this is how our relationship bloomed. We had many, many nights sitting up really late at night, drinking champagne and hanging out at the pool because it was summer.
It was summer and the end of spring, and I've always wanted a little sister, and I got to 3 weeks into knowing you guys or something, maybe a little bit more than that. I got to help get Kennedy ready for prom, and that was just,
oh my goodness.
that was just the most fun for me, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is because
That was such a wonderful
I had
time.
a little brother who was like, I don't need help.
Right. And that was the year that it rained so horrifically.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Oh, yeah. We had, I believe we had 27 high school juniors, seniors, and they were at our home, and we had an outdoor dinner planned. And I remember just hanging up sheets, and it was pretty nasty. So
Greg was out there with a broom.
and pushing and
just
pushing.
like, you're doing great, Greg. Keep going.
Keep going. Yeah, he is that cleaner. He's got that cleaner in him, so the clean guy.
Yes.
So anyway, so that's how we met, and you went on to law school, and it was a transition for your fiance. So that was a transition, never being out of Fort Worth, really, right?
I had lived in Austin a few years after high school. So I had been away. He had not.
Right.
And that was, you guys were crucial in helping with the idea that there would be a halfway point, and that, San Antonio to Fort Worth. Well, I say that now because I've been there for so long. Fort Worth to San Antonio.
Right.
That's a 4.5 hour drive.
Is it? Mm-hmm.
And to have that peace of mind that there was somewhere halfway.
Right.
That if we couldn't make it home,
right.
The first week we were so homesick and
right.
just miserable. I remember looking at him the first day in San Antonio and saying, I'm in physical pain. I am so homesick. Mm-hmm. And that first weekend we were back in Austin. And so it was just,
right.
You guys played such a crucial role in
being family,
making that transition.
Right.
And,
right.
I don't know that I would have felt so confident going into it had it not been for that.
Exactly. Well, that's huge. And so, and those of you listening, family and friends are absolutely critical when you're going through a change like that. And, I look at my daughter going to school, and she's just down the street from me now, but going away to school, I look at these kids that go away, and I admire so much, because it's so difficult to go
mm-hmm.
away. Especially, can you imagine going across the country or something like that?
No.
So, and you left your dog, right?
Yes, I did.
Charlie?
Yes.
So that was difficult. So,
that was tough.
Right. Moving down to San Antonio, and you both had dogs, right?
Yes. And we were going to be in an apartment on the third floor that had carpet in the bedrooms. Right. And I'm a germaphobe anyway. Mm-hmm. So the idea of dogs coming in after being in the mud and then being on carpet, and it's just not my thing. But also, Charlie was used to having a backyard, and her buddy Alice at the time, which was my roommate's dog, and I just couldn't take that away from her. She loves being outdoors, loves chasing birds and squirrels, and she'll never catch. Well, lizards especially. She's never going to get one. But, I knew that my schedule was going to be tough. I knew that
it was difficult.
So I left her behind, but I didn't leave her behind.
Right. It was the best decision.
I still see her every chance that I get.
Right. That's right. Because you're here in Fort Worth right now, just house sitting, just for a minute. Right?
Yeah, just for a friend. Yes.
And you're so sweet to do this, because you're once again studying for the bar, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. This is the last thing you need to do. And you're like, no.
It is nice to have a brain break, though. Oh my gosh, there's just I've never felt dumber in my life. Law school's supposed to make you a lot smarter, and now I'm like, I don't know anything.
I don't know.
What is this? There's so much information. I've got so many weird acronyms, but
I can't even imagine.
It's gonna be fine.
And so the bar is 3 days, correct?
Yes.
Oh my goodness! So 3 days in Austin, and yeesh. Oh. But you're going to be great.
I'm going to be great. It's going to be great.
You're great.
And if not, then I'm just going to take the UBE next year. And
you're going into UVA?
Well, oh gosh, no. I think I want to go to med school now.
Right.
No, the UBE is the Uniform Bar Exam, and Texas is finally adopting it. And so most states have, I think, all but 6 at this point. So that would allow me to go anywhere I want.
Do you have an area of law you're interested? Did I hear sports at one point?
At one point, and then
ask me next.
That's a whole another monster. But I've got some ideas.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, good. So next time you come on the show, we'll know for sure.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Well, great. So tell me about relationships. Tell me, you've talked to me before, and I have sat up many nights talking to you about relationships, and I'm not even talking about just relationships with a spouse or a male, but I'm talking about relationships with females as well. So
I think that one of the best things that I've learned from you is just to choose kindness where you can. And I say that, I hesitate because I've learned that you can choose kindness far more often than most people do.
Right.
And there are so many situations in which I will get really hot-headed because I've got a temper. I mean,
you got red hair.
Yeah. And I take a step back and I just think, hold on. You don't want to burn a bridge.
No.
No. Not for any other reason than, especially after everything that you and I have been through, I see that it is so much better to be sitting here with you, joking with Kennedy,
mentoring my daughter. Yes.
Yes. Than it would have been had I chose to walk away and stay away.
Right.
I don't know what my life would be like without Tiff and Kennedy. And there's so many people who will be like, oh, you still talk to Tiff and Kennedy and Greg, and
why?
Why? And it's like, well, why wouldn't I? Because at this point, it's so normal to me. I kind of forget how we met. And I forget that there's that entire element of what would be awkward for everyone else because we've moved forward. So,
well, Lily, and this is my third marriage. So the first two, I honestly think that time and maturity, I didn't always behave this way. I really didn't behave this way. I mean, the way that I do now, that I have told you all before, I am really good friends with my ex-husband, my second husband, the father of my child. And I'm very good friends with his wife, and his wife is such an amazing woman that is such a great mentor and role model for my daughter. And to co-parent with such amazing people is incredible. And I look at people that are just fighting and the mental energy of fighting. And, was it all peaches and cream when I divorced, when we first divorced? No, of course it's not. Right. It took time and feelings and but you choose what's right for your daughter, your child, if a child's involved, and then you choose what's right for you. And there's times where I was angry and bitter, and my ex-husband, we always talk, it wasn't this easy. Everybody goes, oh, y'all are so cool. You went on vacation together. Y'all are just the coolest thing. Well, it didn't happen overnight. And we reminded each other of that. And, when you and I, when you had your breakup, we all had to have a little cooling off period, of course. Everybody had to cool off a little bit. I mean, when you do have a breakup, people, and I know this from my second marriage, you have friends, some friends go with you and some friends divorce you.
Yes.
And I'm so brokenhearted to people that divorced me when my second husband and I did decide to move on, because we moved on and walked parallel. We really did. And it's amazing. Here I got a couple of Christmas cards this year from the people that divorced me.
Oh.
Gosh, I don't even know how many years ago. Gosh, Kennedy's 20, so probably 15 years ago. So, when we all grow up and we go, maybe they're not so bad after all.
Right.
And so anyway, just moving on. So we did have to have a grace period. And I think Greg, I know Kennedy was talking to you, but Greg, you saw him at the doctor's office because you had a medical issue.
Yes. And just not even thinking, he said, we were in the same cardiologist office together, and without thinking, he said, well, what are you here for? And I said, oh, I just need cardiac clearance for a surgery. Should have known. Greg's going to say, well, what kind of surgery? Yeah. And I said, a preventative double mastectomy. And his eyes just got huge. And he goes, well, Tiff's going to want to know about that. I can tell her, right? And I said, sure, absolutely. And a couple hours later, here goes my phone. Yeah. Lily, what is going on? What are you doing? What are you talking about? I just talked to Greg, and it's okay. It's okay. It's preventative.
Right in the middle of law school, everyone. Don't forget about this girl.
Yes,
So what happened?
So I had rapidly changing tissue, basically, and my doctor said, hey, let's keep an eye on this. Also, let's go ahead and do genetic testing and get all of your family history. And my dad's mom had a mastectomy at a very young age. Hers was thought to be more along the prophylactic lines as well. So it wasn't completely unheard of in my family.
Right.
And then there's other family history that
there were markers. Then.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right.
And then I have 3 markers that are not linked to the BRCA gene. So everyone's like, are you BRCA1 or BRCA2? And it's like, actually, there's so many more than just those 2.
Right.
And I wanted a reduction anyway, because I just always have
big tatas.
Yep.
I don't have that problem.
Right. Lucky you.
Right.
So my doctor was like, you could kind of 2 birds, 1 stone with this deal.
Right.
And then I talked to the plastic surgeon, and he was like, well, we can do our best, but really your concern here is getting rid of the tissue that's going to cause a problem. And I think I had something like a 92% chance, and over the next like 5-ish years, or
wow.
I don't know, I kind of buried my head in the sand as far as all the details, and I need to go back and look at everything now that I'm
But you
done.
weren't ready. Maybe you weren't ready.
I was ready to take care of it.
Sure.
But I wasn't ready to know all the details.
Right.
And, that's on my to-do list.
Right.
So, but yeah, looking back, sometimes I'm like, what was I thinking?
Yeah, you did it in spring break.
I did it over spring break.
Double mastectomy.
With reconstruction, and they used my own tissue. So they removed fat from my midsection.
Right.
And reconstructed. I mean, I was just like, Frankenstein me up, and they did.
They did.
So, but it was kind of, it was I am so well loved and just loved unconditionally among my friends and family that it's almost silly sometimes. I'm like, you guys, get mad at me a little. But I knew that I was better off here and Frankensteined than taking the chance on getting sick. And so, it ended, I actually had a total of 4 surgeries during law school, because I had an eye surgery too, but then 2 more surgeries after the mastectomy and reconstruction. Right. So law school has been
quite the adventure.
Right.
But you feel well. You look great.
Thank you.
You do. You look phenomenal.
Thank you.
And you feel good, right?
Yes. So I feel so much better.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I know your mom and dad must be just, thank goodness that's over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I think it was tough for them.
Well, of course.
I mean, I know it was tough for them, but.
Remind me, was the surgery in San Antonio? Or was
yes.
It was in San Antonio. And then you went back to school.
I took 10 days off. And so 1 week of spring break, and then the following week I didn't go to class, and then I went right back.
Caught back up. I know. So proud of me. So in school, when you were in school, I've just watched you. I've watched you on social media, and you've talked to us about that. You've made some pretty serious friends there too, right?
Yes, I have.
I mean, just all those friendships that bloomed and blossomed and bloomed, and you're there, and those people are lifelong friends. So
yes, and it's funny because you're sitting there, and they're telling you that the person on the left of you is not going to be here the next semester or the next year, and the other people around you are going to be your lifelong friends. And I just that first semester was so tough, and that first week was tough. Yeah. I just remember thinking, I'm not going to be friends with any of these people.
I remember you saying that.
I was just like, I want to go back to Fort Worth.
Right.
And sure enough, people who were sitting next to me didn't make it through that first semester, and it really bonded those that were left. And you spend so many hours in the library together, and you're seeing each other at your just absolute worst. You're confused. You don't know what's going on. You feel isolated because your social life is gone, and it is a tough time. And sure enough, those people I'm very close to some of them, and I've made other friends in San Antonio, and as much as I love Fort Worth, after 3.5 years somewhere, I come back and I'm like, okay, well,
Really?
I kind of want to go run through my own neighborhood. I want to do my own things. I've established, also Fort Worth doesn't have HEB.
Right. Well, and you have your, you've established your roots there. Mm-hmm. You have your roots here deep, but there.
Very deep here.
So do you know where you're going? You're not making that decision yet?
Not making that decision yet.
Okay.
I really, I have a brand new nephew in California, and that is
right.
a serious temptation.
Oh my goodness gracious, Lily!
Yes.
No way, you're not leaving us.
No.
Well, I hear you. I understand. So, so I mean, learning about relationships, and I mean, I try to give you the best advice, and
you do a phenomenal job.
Well, it's not always the best, but anything that you've learned. I mean, how would you?
Okay, let's see. I think, like, going back to choosing kindness when you can, and I wanted you to do the blog from the get-go.
You have.
I remember sitting in your kitchen in Austin and just being like, hey, what do I use to cook for this? What do I use for this? What do I use for that? And then we talk skincare and clothes, and the night that we were all trying on all that Free People in the kitchen.
Yes, exactly. Yes. We had
Chelsea
a fashion
and I
show
hid in the cabinet.
In the fashion show in the kitchen, cooking and getting undressed.
And I just, those were all the fun things that we did in Austin. And I thought, I want to learn how to cook better and be a better hostess. But then it occurred to me that the coolest thing that you could do on the blog was teach other young women what you've taught me. And it's hard to convey all of it in such a short amount of time without going into, really intense story time.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you have a therapist or counselor in Austin that you've learned so much from. And I've benefited.
Yes. I shared her name.
Yeah. I have seen her and worked with her and learned some great things from her as well. But I think that everyone could use a Tiffy, and not to just come on your podcast and be like, you know what I mean? But it's not a one-sided relationship. I know that I've helped Kennedy and some of her friends.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, we went through that one big ordeal, and there are things that Kennedy tells me that she doesn't tell you, and she runs ideas by me, and I'll say yay, nay, or why don't you hold off a month or two on this one, and let's see where you land in a month. But just there's so much, and it's just so hard to convey. But when I was going through, so after that first week in San Antonio, or let's back up to that first weekend in San Antonio, I moved down the day after my ex-fiance, because I had a birthday party to attend, a big joint birthday party, and that's not his social scene. And then, we both knew that. But he was trying to figure out how to get things done in the apartment. And I remember you calling me and saying, you got to give him something to do. And I was like, he's a grown man. I don't have to go. Because I'm not used to, like checking on anyone.
Right.
And I didn't really have that kind of understanding of how to work with someone. And that was kind of the first time I took a step back, and I thought, okay, when I got there the next day, I realized, there were a lot of things that he couldn't have done without feeling comfortable, like making a decision that, two people depend on. So that was kind of like the first understanding of maybe I need to learn how to be a better communicator. And then that following week when we were in Austin, the tension was just so high. And there was, we were all out by the pool, had margaritas. He was ready to go home. I was not, because I'm energized by people, and I didn't want to go back to San Antonio.
Right. You weren't ready.
I wasn't ready. I was so homesick, and I was enjoying being around what was familiar. And I just remember thinking, oh, he'll get over it. He'll be fine.
Right.
And I think I told you that. I think I
you
said,
did.
oh, he'll be fine. He just needs to like go take a nap. He'll come back out. He'll have fun. He'll realize in a minute. And I remember you looking at me and saying, I think it's really important that you're with a person who likes to leave at the same time that you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had this realization that for as much fun as he and I had together, because we did, I mean, he's hilarious. And we were always laughing, but it was just the realization that that's not it.
Right.
I mean, that's not all there is to a relationship. And I had to have some really hard conversations with myself about what I prioritize.
Exactly.
You know, I've never really thought of myself as like this career-driven person or anything like that. I always thought I was a pretty solid girlfriend, fiance, whatever. And especially here lately, I've realized that I prioritize law school.
Right.
And I remember also Greg telling me that same weekend, you've worked so hard to get here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This relationship has not been on your radar nearly as long as law school has. And
go get him.
Yeah. But he was saying, you know, there are not a lot of people who go off to law school and get it done.
Right.
You know, this is a big deal you've got in front of you. And he was encouraging me to keep my eye on that prize. And, you know, I did. And I mean, come hell or high water, like 4 surgeries. I attended a total of 7 funerals during law school. And it just one curveball after another.
Right.
But having those breakup conversations with you, and you also pointed out, it is better to end it as friends than in complete disaster. And it's better to end in a broken engagement than a divorce.
Yes. Because
that is so time consuming and so energy consuming. And I just remember you telling me about how much energy it would consume, even if you said it's not. You can walk away now. After marriage, you can't.
Right.
You can't. You don't just,
especially with children. If you had
walk away, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was hard to make that decision.
Right.
And when you know that a decision is healthy, that doesn't make it any easier.
No, it doesn't make it easier, you know, and I introduced you to a therapist that I have seen probably now 20 years, and I do get a tune-up, and people say, oh, no, I would do therapy, and I don't hear that a lot lately, but a different generation perhaps, but my former husband and I mean, we found this amazing, you know her, and she is amazing.
She really is.
You know, and there was, I think we went through a year of therapy, and she saw that the friendship that was there and how we wanted to, you know, because it was like, do you live together? Do you cohabitate together and just have the home for the child? I mean, there was so many different factors and variables. And she finally said to me, to he and I both, he said, you know what? You guys need to say goodbye to each other. And it's pretty hard to do. So she said, you need to write a letter and say goodbye to each other. I still have that letter. It's tough. I mean, but as tough as that was, saying goodbye, and still yesterday he calling me and telling me that our daughter's skiing and she's having a great time, and you know, so
I'm so jealous of her pictures right now.
by the way. And so, you know, just that you have that. So I'm just encouraging everyone that just in a relationship that you see, one of you may be out, you know, but it takes 2. You all know that. I mean, I have friends that they're just not there. They're not there. And stop wasting time and say goodbye to each other and move on, because it's not going to get easier.
Right. And I still have a couple letters. They've migrated further and further, or deeper down into storage boxes. But that was a key part of breaking things off. And I remember at one point he and I looked at each other and said, we're not going to write a letter to each other. But I think that was just the stubborn side of me, not wanting to admit defeat.
How could that work? Yeah.
And I think that all things considered, we did a wonderful job of breaking up, especially in that to get through the end of that first semester. Mm-hmm. And then, we were still on that lease together, even though he moved back. Mm-hmm. We did a really good job of working through things. And I know that from both of our past relationships, that things weren't always that smooth. So I can confidently say it is because we had this therapist and a Tiff and a Greg involved in saying, here's what you guys need to do to get through this. Let's not be irrational. Let's encourage civility. Let's be kind and moving forward. And I think that there was just so much comfort, and also the fact that one of those first weekends in Austin, I'd heard that you and your former husband were still friends, and I knew that was a connection, but you always kind of think like, okay, it's still going to be kind of awkward. Yeah. And they showed up, and there was nothing awkward about it. That relationship doesn't exist in theory. I mean, I love your former husband and his wife. They're so great. Yeah. And it's just to see it in action and to know that it's possible. Mm-hmm. It was so much easier to step back. And I think that that's made every friendship, every relationship that I've had, like I've dated in law school.
Right. Never mind.
Right. I don't have time.
No.
Or energy, but to step back and say, hey, we don't have to drag each other through the mud. Right. We don't have to be mean. You don't have to, I think you said, you can love someone in one capacity and then turn around and love them in a different capacity. And sometimes that's from afar, and sometimes it's just on a different level, and you just adjust your thinking. And you can do so much by just adjusting your thinking.
Absolutely.
And you can help others. And that's the other thing that I've learned from you is how to include people, make other people feel warm and invited and a part of something, because you never know when that person is going through something really intense and they may not want to talk about it. You may not ever know what is going on behind closed doors, but just to show up for people and to be the happy, fun person, you could just change someone's entire day, which has this domino effect of changing their life. And it may be the thing that they need to keep going through a, tough semester or whatever. But also, one of my favorite questions that you used to ask was, what do you need from me? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't, do you need anything? What can I do? I mean, it was just so much more direct to say, what do you need from me? Or what do you need from us? It just kind of opened the door a little bit more for me to say, actually, I need someone to drive down to San Antonio and pick up these keys because we're traveling and, and, or, I need someone to talk to this person and help calm them down and see the other side of this, because I'm not getting anywhere. Right. And it just...
Well, Lilly, if I say, and people and my friends that are listening and people that do not know me, if I say, what can I do to help you? I mean it.
Yes, you do.
100% mean it. And I'm not messing around with that. So
no, and I've learned to mean it when I ask other people now.
Exactly. And I'm gonna wrap up the therapy talk, but there are fabulous chefs and there's mediocre chefs, and there's fabulous doctors and there's fabulous and not so fabulous therapists. And I've seen a lot. Greg and I both have seen it a lot in our lives, our parallel lives. And, I saw therapists several that were like, oh, it's just what I didn't do anything wrong. I was never held accountable. And who I sent you to in Austin, she was very much like, you need to rein it in, or, okay, I got that. And Greg said that, he said that many times. He would go with ex-wives. Of course, his ex-wives, he said he didn't do anything wrong. So anyway, but of course not.
Greg's never done anything wrong. Are you kidding me?
That's right. No, he's so great.
He's so great.
He is great. But he would say I'd go to therapy, and they would just sit there and honestly just sit, and they would just rag me the whole time. He used much more flowery language, but the whole time. And okay, so Greg, what do you think? This isn't. Our time's up. And then he said, I learned from that just that I needed to work on myself. So I went to therapy to work on him. He went to work on himself. So he learned that, and he learned so much more. And we all make parenting mistakes. I mean, we certainly make parenting mistakes in our marriage, but, this one, he and I think we got this. So we're good on that. But so anyway, relationships, that's a huge, but I just am so happy that you are in my life with relationships, and many, we continue to grow our garden of friendships,
yes.
and it's just amazing. I just love you to pieces for it. So
I love you too.
So anyway, yes, and we were talking about cooking, and that I love to cook, and
yes.
and you've had many meals at my home. I think
yes.
one of your favorite was the watermelon feta arugula salad, but with a French vinaigrette. So
yes.
with a nice glass of champagne, of course, you all know, like my bubbles. But,
yes, but I have to say, my favorite will forever be Sunday morning breakfast.
Oh yeah.
And I love it every time on your Instagram stories when you're doing breakfast. I'm like, okay, I'm going to actually make breakfast this weekend. And then it's a bowl of cereal in front of my books.
Right,
but
That's right.
The eggs and
migas.
And
Yeah. Whatever's left over from the night before,
yes.
just turn it into
the steak and ranch 616
right.
biscuits. And yes.
That's right. Exactly. So
and champagne, and then go out to Hop Dottie and
every Sunday.
Every Sunday.
That's where you'll see us. That's right. I know. Where we are, in one city or the other. But yeah. So we talk about dieting, and I have made no bones about having eating disorder in my life, and I just turned 55, and I own it so much. And you and I have talked about eating issues in the past, and I have a tendency to overwork out. I mean, I own everything I do, but you have learned different eating pattern, or you've watched, and I don't think people watch me, but people are watching me. So.
Well, okay, so I struggled with an eating disorder about 10 years ago. That doesn't feel like 10 years.
Right, I know.
And I overworked out. I mean, I used to run 12 to 15 miles a day, and I still thought that I was overweight.
Right.
At 105 pounds, and I look back and I'm just like, what in the world?
Right.
But then I went through the loss of my grandmother, and the divorce of my parents, and moving back from Austin, and I started a desk job, and I was sitting all the time, and I just gained weight so quickly. So it hasn't been until this past April that I've really gotten my eating back under control. And I mean, I went from one extreme to the other.
Sure.
So you're still not healthy at that point. But in watching you, when there's a piece of cake or whatever brought out to the table, and everyone's passing it around, and there's a social pressure to try the cake or try whatever special might be loaded in dairy and, whatever's on the menu, and
things that may not agree with you.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yes. And you're sitting there, and you don't want to seem unwilling to try new things, or you don't experience life. No one wants to be like, oh no, I eat steamed vegetables and baked chicken.
Right.
So,
right.
But I've watched, it doesn't mean that you don't know anything about food if you say no, or you have one bite and you say, okay, thank you, that's enough. And so that was a really good thing for me to see from you, and to just, boundaries are so important.
Oh goodness.
Right down to at the dinner table.
Exactly.
Especially at the dinner table, because what you eat has a fairly huge impact on your day and life.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Yeah. The older I get, things that don't agree with me, I better not agree with that. So I better move on for that. And I'm not a food pusher either.
Right.
I'm not a food pusher. I cook a meal, and I don't. I mean, it's usually gone, but well, maybe I'm a food pusher. I don't know.
No, you're not. No, there's always a solid spread, and then grazing and
grazing. Yeah. And that's okay to graze. Yeah. Because I'm very food conscious. I've tried to have a healthy relationship with food, and it's still very difficult for me. And I remember a therapist that I had for the eating disorder, one of many in my Rolodex. Does anyone know what a Rolodex is anymore?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
So we're okay there. So
yes.
It's in my database of therapists, and she said, you will always have that in your head because that's who you are. You always order something and look at it and have think about it. But I've tried to have a healthy relationship with food, and everyone knows if you follow me on my Instagram and they know me personally, I've tried one eating plan. I dislike the word diet so much, but I've tried one eating plan after the other. And I do have friends that judge me and say, why do you do that? Why do you do that? But it works for me. I mean, it's just, I am in love with, I'm starting Prolon on Monday, and I do it for 5 days, and I just feel better. I feel like I'm back in control, and yes, I'm out of control mentally with food. So I'm back, and it gets me back together, just like you and I did Whole 30 together a couple of times, I believe, because we had the cookbook and we talked about that. And I believe so strongly in that one too. But yeah, eating and boundaries are just huge. Absolutely huge. So yeah, but anyway.
I want you to put together a Whole 30 restaurant.
Oh,
loop.
No.
Okay. I mean, not like don't do like a whole, you know what I mean? Not like the whole thing, but like, I think that it would be cool if you could share, not right now, but share more tips for how, like one of my favorite things that I've learned from you is to ask for my dressing on the side all the time.
Right.
Every time I get a salad. And now, like here recently, I got a salad and, forgot to ask for the dressing on the side, and I was eating it, and I was like, my tongue is burning. There's so much dressing. And I just was so upset.
My tongue is coated. Help me. I can't get up.
I know, because it's like the vinegar, and you're just like, I don't take in this much.
That's right.
Anything.
That's right.
So, it's such a sneaky calorie, or like getting candied pecans on a salad really ruined my day. I'm like, if I'm going to waste my calories, it's not going to be on a salad. Like,
I know.
It's going to be on a margarita.
So I mean, and many of you know, I am a bartender's nightmare because of how I order my margarita. I mean, I own it. And the guys and gals in this town and in Austin that know me and just go, oh my gosh. But when I'm like, I just want a single drop of agave, just a drop. It doesn't make a difference. Yes, it does. Just a single drop of agave. That's all I want. Well, then put it on the side if you're not, so yeah. So I get it. But yeah, I've again, it's that relationship with food that I need to kind of reel it in a little bit. But you know what? I know what I like.
But right. And there's so much to be said for that, because there's nothing worse than, I mean, you can't take it back once you eat it.
No. Well, yeah, you
can, but you know what I mean.
We won't
you should
there,
not.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, you have been at my table so many times, and we continue to live our life together. And I have given you my oddities. I mean, you have to tell them about my. I don't know if anyone knows about my.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I want to know.
During the no good horrible. Okay, you're talking about shaving legs, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
No, do you remember like how you found out that I did not shave my legs?
I might have accidentally rubbed up against you and you cut me with your hair.
It was so much worse.
No, I don't remember this.
During the no good, very bad, horrible day in Austin. You and I were at the very end of the night. We're sitting on the steps together. And you put your hand on my leg and you went, oh my gosh. And I was like, I know. Sorry, I haven't shaved my legs. And you were like, no. Like, how long has it been? And like we had my flashlight on my phone out.
Yes.
Because I have such fine body hair. It's all on my head.
Yeah.
And it's blonde and no one could see. And you were just like, you really can't see your leg hair. And I said, I know. And you were like, but sister, you got to take care of that. And I was like, how often do you shave your legs? And you said every day, twice a day. And I was like, okay,
weirdo.
I could step it up. And so
weird flex, but okay.
Nope. Now I shave my legs every day, twice a day. And I'm like, oh, how did I ever live? But
Are you kidding? I'm so proud of you.
Thank
I always
you.
say that to
Thank
my
you.
daughter. I'm so proud of you girls. Yeah. Okay. So then but however, that's weird, I'm sure. But twice a day, every day, 100%.
well, now I mean, when I worked for that law firm before law school, I think I just really didn't love, it was medical malpractice.
Yeah.
Which is super awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I just didn't.
Well, you
I
were
was kinda
nasty
like,
then. You were nasty.
Yeah, I was so nasty.
You're so nasty.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so
all right,
now I'm like,
twice a day,
okay,
every
this
day.
is the way to live. And I'm just saying, just try it.
Yeah. Oh, well, you know what?
Everyone
My
should
husband's like,
try
is
it.
there really something there where you want to test that water, buddy?
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
I mean, twice a day, every day. But I do miss. I remember our my stepdaughter. We were hanging out outside, and I lifted up my leg, and I missed the back because I go so very. I look like a flipping bear back there. I went, oh my gosh, I missed. There's a patch I missed. So anyway, so yeah, so the things Lily learned from me twice a day, every day. So
Twice a day, every day.
Well, yeah. Well, Lily, I love you so much.
I love you too.
You are just a lifetimer, and you're stuck
are
with
you.
me. Sorry.
You're stuck with me.
Stuck with me too. So, well, will you come back to see us after the
Yes.
bar maybe and let us
Yes.
know where you are? You know?
Oh, after the bar, we're gonna.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Just live down the street from me. It'll be fabulous. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Tiffy, sure.
Okay. Yeah. Let me just. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. Maybe one
see.
day I'll be back in Fort Worth.
That's right.
Maybe.
Well, we hope so. Well, we
Okay.
love you. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. Please go to my Instagram, Tiffany C. Blackman. My Twitter is Tiffy Blackman. My Facebook is Tiffany C. Blackman. That's my private. And then Tiffany Collins is my business page. So there's all the advertising I can do today. Everyone have a good one, and everyone stay fabulous. Have a great day.